We love our Wednesdays because we get to enter the Deacon's Den. Daniel in the Deacon's Den. And we look forward to Deacon Dan Brahier, who's coming to us really with some students today. So this is going to be an interesting endeavor here as we join Deacon Daniel, in the Deacon's Den.
Good morning. For the Deacon's Den today, I'm happy to have brought with me 3 students from St. Rose Catholic School in Perrysburg. They're part of an elective course at the school in which the 7th and 8th graders are learning about Catholic radio broadcasting, which I talked to about actually in last week's program. They worked on a team with other students to research and write today's segment and will be featured once a month for 3 months. So today's presenters are Matthew, Kate, and Ben, and we're going to be talking today about Jubilee years and pilgrimages. So to get us started, Matthew, can you tell us a little bit about what a Jubilee year is and how they got started?
Sure. The first Catholic Jubilee year was held in the year 1300, proclaimed by Pope Boniface VIII. It was also known as a Holy Year and offered pilgrims who traveled to Rome a full pardon for their sins. Holy years were originally planned to be 100-year events, but they were later reduced to every 50 years by Pope Clement VI in the middle of the 14th century. Jubilee years are times of special grace, forgiveness, and renewal. They are a time for reconciliation, prayer, and a spiritual reset for God's people. Today, a Jubilee is held every 25 years that involves prayer, which was historically a pilgrimage to Rome or some other destination. The pilgrimage would feature the opening of the holy doors at basilicas, symbolic of a passage to salvation, and offering a plenary indulgence to those who make the pilgrimage and follow the required conditions. A plenary indulgence is a full pardon for our sins. Since 1900, ordinary Jubilee years in the Catholic Church, occurring every 25 years, were held in 1900, 1925, 1950, 1975, and 2000. Extraordinary Jubilees have also been proclaimed in years such as 1933, the Holy Year of Redemption, and 2015 through 2016, an Extraordinary Jubilee of Mercy, celebrated for the 50th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council.
Thank you, Matthew. I think some people were confused back in 2015 when Pope Francis declared a Holy Year because they assumed that Jubilees would only happen every 50 years. But there is a history of these extraordinary Jubilees being called over the years, too. So, Kate, can you give us a little bit more detail about extraordinary Jubilee years and the origin of Jubilees in the Bible?
Yes, there is a lot of history in all of this. The Great Jubilee was called by Pope John Paul II in 2000 and was the most recent ordinary Jubilee, marking the 2000th anniversary of Christ's birth. Like Matthew said, extraordinary Jubilees are proclaimed for specific events. These are special years called for various reasons outside the normal 25-year cycle. For example, in 1933, the Extraordinary Jubilee of the Redemption was proclaimed by Pope Pius XI to mark the 1900th anniversary of Christ's death and resurrection. The Jubilee has its roots in the Bible. It says in Leviticus chapter 25, verse 10, that you shall treat his 15th year as sacred. Leviticus instructs the Jewish people not to sow crops in the Jubilee year. So, in order to provide enough food, God says in chapter 25 of Leviticus, I will command such a blessing for you in the 6th year that will be crop enough for 3 years. The Bible talks a lot about how sacred this year is, telling the people to not make an unfair deals during that time and to return in the pilgrimage to their own homes. As Catholics, our home is Rome, so it's customary for people to try to get to Rome during a Jubilee year.
Thanks, Kate. It's good to know the Catholic Church didn't just invent the idea of a Jubilee year. It was actually presented in the book of Leviticus almost 1,500 years before Christ was born. So these Jubilee years usually involve some kind of pilgrimage. Ben, can you talk to us about what a pilgrimage is?
By definition, a pilgrimage is a journey to a significant, holy, or sacred place for religious reasons, for personal transformation, spiritual renewal, or closer connection with God. What we did for our Jubilee year pilgrimage, which is one of the destinations picked by Bishop Daniel Thomas, was to travel to Rosary Cathedral in Toledo. We were originally supposed to go to Our Lady of Consolation Shrine in Cary, but it was so foggy on the morning that they changed our destination to the cathedral because schools were delayed south of our area. Our Lady Queen of the Most Holy Rosary Cathedral was built between 1925 and 1931 for the Diocese of Toledo, which serves 19 countries, the counties of Northwest Ohio. Early 19th century settlers traveled to this area with their Catholic faith and started building our diocese. Later, people from other cultures came to this area, including Germans, French, and Italians, who started serving as ministers and missionaries. Diversity like this is what keeps our diocese special even today. The cathedral is one of the primary church of our diocese. It was designed after 16th century Spanish cathedrals. We made our pilgrimage to Rosary Cathedral last month on Wednesday, September 17th. The whole school went there together on 7 buses, about 300 students, along with staff members and parents. While at the cathedral, we attended Mass and took a tour of the cathedral.
Interesting. So what are some examples of things that you saw and did when you were at Rosary Cathedral, Matthew?
We saw the large rose window above the balcony that was paid for with a penny fund donated by the children of the diocese. It is sometimes called the children's window. We were given a brochure with a map and information about the cathedral, while the younger grades visited the learning stations and did a scavenger hunt. 8th graders also viewed a relic of St. Carlo Acutis and paintings of the Mystery of the Rosary.
Whenever I assist at Mass at the cathedral, I stand at the altar and I look up at that rose window. It's just an incredible work of art. So what were the highlights for you, Ben?
What stands out to most to me of the day was the artwork, which included paintings of the ceiling that showed scenes from the Bible, all the way from the story of creation to Mary being crowned the Queen of Heaven. Our 8th grade class at St. Rose will receive the sacrament of confirmation at Rosary Cathedral on Saturday, March 21st of 2026. And they look forward to returning at that time. We are grateful to our principal and teachers for arranging this pilgrimage for us so that we could participate in the holy year as pilgrims of hope.
Thank you, Ben. It sounds like all of you had a trip that you will always remember. There is so much to see at the cathedral. I've taken several tours of that building myself, and it seems like every time I go, I see or learn something new that I hadn't known or seen before. And when our OCIA group from our parish at St. Thomas More in Bowling Green goes to the cathedral for the rite of election at the beginning of Lent, I always ask them to get there at least an hour early so they have plenty of time to just wander around, look at all the beautiful artwork and the religious artifacts. So as we conclude today's segment, I'd like to thank our students, Matthew, Kate, and Ben, for their research and for sharing their thoughts today. I look forward to hosting 3 other students next month when we return together to do another segment of Daniel in the Deacon's Den. I hope our listeners all have a great week. Happy Memorial of St. Teresa of Avila.
Well, thank you, Deacon Dan, Daniel in the Deacon's Den. So nice to hear some students who are engaged, the junior high students there. What a wonderful opportunity to really learn more about the faith and step up just a little bit more. So terrific. Thank you so much.